Thank you to EA for early access to The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature. And as a quick disclaimer, the software is not final. And today I am building an Apothecary Cottage, which at first was going to be a carriage or cart on wheels. But all I have is base game and Enchanted by Nature, and I couldn't really find anything that worked well with it. I don't have any mods installed, so there's no like tool mod to maybe change some things or raise them up and lower them down or like use the tools that rotate certain objects to kind of make fake wheels unless there is a way that people do it with just base game without mods and stuff. I couldn't find anything that worked for me, and you'll see what I was trying out. I did find this like metal thing that I think goes above windows that's like sort of like this gold metallic color, and I thought it looked really nice, and so that was kind of the starting point of maybe fake wheels on the cart. And I was like, you know what? I could just make it that maybe it used to be a cart and then over time it's kind of just stayed here and it doesn't really function that way anymore. It mostly looks like they maybe put something on the old wheels to like keep the cottage propped up a little bit. And now it's just in the forest here, and I built this in the neighborhood of Spruce Dairy Grove. And this is a huge lot. I think it's a 64 by 64 lot. There's usually, like, when you load into the world, this lot is pretty much just whatever you want to build on it. I think this one and one in the Enchanted Forest of Everdew, they kind of just put like a pond down with some foliage around, and you could just build whatever you want on these lots. And so this is this lot in that neighborhood, and the park that I built for the official pack is like right next to it for some like guidance on what lot I'm actually building on. It also says the name in the corner, but it's kind of small on my editing screen, so I can't read that right now. But I wanted to try something different with the pack that I haven't really done yet, and I also was using a lot more of the vibrant whimsical swatches just to see how they looked in game and how they worked, because I haven't really put any of them to use yet. And I know that I built like the smallest possible home on the largest lot in the pack pretty much, but I would not have been able to take on a huge build like this. I had like so many builds I was working on. There was no way that I could make a giant build on a 64 by 64 lot, but it did give me enough space to pretend like this is buried deeper in a forest. So I was able to put a bunch of trees around. At this point, I still didn't realize that I can access live edit objects. And if I had known, I would have used some of the new debug trees because they're really beautiful and I haven't really been able to showcase them in my early access at all. But I'll definitely be making way more builds like after the fact and when it's actually in the game, and I'll be able to like actually use some of these items that are really cool and I feel like would have worked really nicely on this slot. And I did make one build during early access that does use the live edit objects, but like a part of the lot I really was growing to not like anymore of what I was doing with it, and I haven't looked at it since. So I'm at a point where I don't know if I'm uploading it yet, but I did like spend so much time and effort on some parts of it that I think I need to just look at it again and convince myself to post it, because if you see this build right here, I was at a point during some part of it where I thought that it just like didn't look good, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna delete this and never show anybody. But over time, I was like, no, you know what? I do like it. It's different from like what I was building, and it's very vibrant and pretty. So I can save it and I can post it and I don't have to just delete it. I'll try and work on that other one a little bit more. It won't be up during like early access. I might just like hold off and post that next week because we're going to be getting the full pack very shortly. I'm posting this, I think, on Tuesday, and the pack comes out in a couple of days. So maybe I'll just hold off and I'll like continue that one with like every pack too. Who knows what I'm going to do. But now for this build, I have the shell just completely done. I don't know if I make it a little bit bigger. I feel like I probably extended it out just a little bit. And I wanted the inside of it to lead to the outside using fences and columns, almost as windows where someone would come up like it's a shop and they could like buy remedies and stuff. It doesn't end up being like that. The apothecary table is in front of one of these windows, so maybe it is. It just doesn't look like a shop counter space over there like I was kind of imagining while I was building this. And I'm using multiple of the different wallpapers from the new pack. There is this sort of like wooden grain one that is on the exterior that I'm using in the yellow swatch, and the inside is like the mossy wallpaper, which I really like. I love like a lot of the different colors of it. I used the green swatch, I believe, in the park lot, and I also used like a white swatch of it in my library that I uploaded earlier, I guess over the weekend. I'm looking forward to having all the packs with this so that I can see what items I'll like truly be using and like mix and matching with all of my go-to exterior walls, like with like get together and cottage living and stuff. I feel like I probably am going to use the wall texture that I use on the inside as like accent walls pretty often with a blend of a lot of different items that I use in like all of my builds. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all looks together. And you can see that like I'm trying to fill up some of the large lot around it. And so I have like a couple different levels of terrain. It's not like too intricate because I don't have any mods installed, so I need to like keep in mind that I'm not going to be able to do as much as I would usually do. And also, like when I normally use rocks and I lower with tool mod, it is very quick because I can lower a whole bunch of rocks at once. But if I want to create a feature in the landscape using rocks without a mod, I have to manually place them a lot. So I didn't want to do all of that on a super big lot like this. So we'll see how I end up transforming it to try and make it feel a little bit more natural and have it so that I didn't have to do a large build on such a big lot. And for this build, I actually didn't struggle too much with placing plants on the roofs because with the new update with plants being able to go on the roof, it's very tricky and it's like you really need to plan your roof to the feature. And if you use like the shift keys, I forgot what it is because it's muscle memory, but when you change the roof to be able to manipulate a couple more points in it to create different curves, it becomes harder to have snap points for the plants on it. And so for the most part, I'd like have like a couple here and there, and then I would just use some other plants that didn't automatically snap onto the roof to fill in the rest of the space. But this one, it looks like I was able to do it a lot easier, and it is a very basic and simple roof shape, so maybe that's why. I haven't actually played with the like new base game update that came out because I haven't really opened up my regular Sims games since I've had early access to this. So I don't really know how the feature works in the regular base game because I haven't really tried it yet. But I do assume it's like the same thing. I'm sure it has the same sort of bugs and the same difficulties of placing the plants on the roof pieces. I don't see how it would be different. I feel like it's probably exactly the same. So I don't know why I even mentioned that it could maybe be different. But now you can see that I am adding accents of rocks around to like the landscape just to get a starting point of what I was going to do with it. I had like 2 points in the raised up area that the cottage is on, where it almost seemed like the cart or carriage could drive down a little bit. That's what I had in mind. And then the forest and stuff kind of grew around the cottage over time. And I also managed to take up a good amount of the lot by putting in a few different ponds. I really like the shape of the pond to the right. I feel like every time I make a pond, it's either the shape that's right here that I'm zoomed in on putting the lily pads in, or it's like a long river. But this one was a little bit more interesting. And I feel like it was inspired by the water I was seeing on the lots in the pack. And I was like, wow, these look really cute. And so I probably just like it translated from that into this when I was just trying to place some water around. And I've been using the base game grass sized up to fill in some space instead of like usually I use the cottage living overgrown grass and it's a lot smaller and you have to put a lot more down. And then there's some other debug grass that it looks a bit weird from some angles. So I don't know why I never just use the base game one sized up a little bit. I think it looks really nice. So I'm going to probably be using that towards like the edges of my bodies of water that I have. And I made another area behind the build that's raised up, and the bathroom ends up being back there because I realized that I didn't have a bathroom in the build and I didn't really have space for one inside because of how small it was. And so I made a little cottage towards the back that is a little bit too big because I was like, oh, this is a huge bathroom. The house is like pretty small. The upstairs bedroom is very small, and then the bathroom is probably like larger than the bedroom. And most of the rest of the landscape is just me defining some areas to make them stand out a little bit more so that it didn't look completely flat. So I'm using more of the base game rocks and just piling them up to create that definition without having to manually place a whole bunch of them around, which I think looks fine. It gives the look that my other debug rocks usually give, but without me putting them down on every single slope in the build, which is okay because this Grove neighborhood is supposed to be very lush and have a lot of greenery. So it like makes more sense to have more just like hills that don't really have a lot of stone near them and just having a lot of overgrown grass. And my dirt path, I'm pretty sure, gets deleted. So it probably is going to look different from this. It's like it doesn't happen often where your terrain paint gets deleted from a build, but it happens sometimes, and it happened with this one, which it really isn't a big deal because it is just a swirly line that leads from the like street all the way up to the bathroom, and there's not really much else to it. So it's easy to at least just throw back in. I did want to squeeze in a small garden area because the pack is focused a lot on gardening and stuff too. So I wanted to have a couple of plots back here that could grow some different stuff. And then I placed some flowers to add some extra pops of color into the landscape. I did use the red mushrooms as like accent pieces to pop out as well. I really love how these mushroom shelves looked sized up, like against cliffs and hills and rocks. It looks really pretty. I have a gnome castle that I believe is coming out tomorrow. If you're watching this the day this is posted, it should be coming out tomorrow. And it is a stone castle with a whole bunch of these mushrooms climbing up the stone walls. And I think it looks really cool. You will hear me going on about these mushrooms forever. Every like speed build, most likely, I'm gonna use these mushrooms somewhere. It's perfect to add the pop of color, and it makes every build look so whimsical and really cute and adorable. And really, I think is what makes each of my builds that I've posted during early access as well. And they work in like all different little styles. I mean, are all these builds very different styles? I don't know. They have very different color palettes though, and it all works really nicely in all of them. And back here is the bathroom I was talking about. It is bigger than I probably needed it to be, but I did manage to fit in the new bathtub, which is an item that I was barely able to fit into my builds because I always build so small, so I never really have space for a large tub. And in my Swamp Fairy cottage, I threw it outside because I was like, I really want to use it, but there is not enough space for this inside. And it looks nice outside anyway because it's a stone tub, but I could fit it in this one. And I might have went a little overboard with some of the ivy pieces in the back of the build, but I thought this build needed a whole bunch of ivy on here. And you could see the different trees that I used. I used like a good variety of them, but then I just like eye dropped them and used the same ones here and there, but like not next to each other. So it at least looked like there was a good variety of trees. But I feel like there's at least like four different trees that I used. And now on the inside, the floor plan was strange. I had a hard time putting a kitchen in here. And so it had to go through a couple of attempts to get the kitchen right in here. And then I'd like needed to just make it a little bit smaller and sacrifice some other areas because it looked weird what I was trying to do with it. And I really wanted to try and use this different wood swatch that's a bit warmer, a bit more orange. And it's like I was thinking of using it because I was like, you know what, this looks like the Realm of Magic swatches, and I wanted to see how it would look. And I actually really do like how it turned out in this swatch because I wanted to at least give different swatches a chance with all of my builds. And I didn't want to just keep using the same color swatches in like the ones that I am posting during early access. So I was making an attempt. You could tell by the outside I was making an attempt to not just go towards green and like really dark brown swatches. And so the outside is very warm and it has the bright yellow and the bright reds, which I think look really nice together. The roof was really cool. I don't know how often I'm going to use the bright colors like that because it's never something I just grab when I'm building. I have to really make an effort to use brighter colors when I am building. And now we're seeing the kitchen, and this isn't the final layout because I realized there's no sink in here, and so I had to change some stuff and not have corner cabinets at all and have like well, I guess we'll see how it turns out. It's also kind of weird because the fridge has to be off to the side next to the apothecary table. I thought that looked really weird, but I really didn't know what else to do about it. I was okay with the shelves behind the dining room area that kind of connect it to the cabinets. I really liked how that looked, but everything else just wasn't working for this. And we didn't get a new stove or fridge. The base game ones, I feel like they can fit the style okay. I think that like I'll probably just be using my cottage living fridges and stoves when I'm building. Those are my go-tos. But you can see I'm like, this fridge is not working. I do not know what to do. And then I was like, the sink over here facing a bookcase? I don't think so. So I had to change things. But then that sink also was like so bright compared to everything else. And I was like, I can't use this sink either. And I'm just gonna have to use the one that came with the pack. And then it ended up slowly coming together this way. Thankfully, I think the sink is what saved it because I needed the sink to be under the window. So I had to move the stove. And I was like, I think it's okay to have the stove off to the side like that. The fridge still has to be over there, but it's just something that I have to live with. And this is the potted plant that comes with the pack that you have to take care of and spray and stuff. There's like different swatches and leaves that you can pick for it, which will be really nice with like layering with other plants from other packs, and so that like you don't have to use the same thing over and over again because I always use the same plants. This one, it makes it a bit easier to like have a mixture of different colored leaves and textures around. And now I'm like working on the rest of the room. I was gonna say like I don't know, because this is all just one room. So it's like, oh yeah, this is another room, but it's not because it is all just open to each other. And I was going to try and close it off. And then it looked a bit weird because I'm using outdoor lighting because I have it open with the fences. And so if I close off that piece has indoor lighting, and then the rest has outdoor lighting. It just didn't look good. And it looks fine opened up like this too. I love the pops of yellow with the couch and the chair. And I feel like the base game coffee table, I've been just really drawn to using that. I think I used it in my swamp cottage as well. I think it just looks really nice with the new furniture. and so I continued to want to use it. It like blends in really nicely, I think, for it. I also used a base game chair at the dining room table with two of the pack chairs too, just because I wanted to try and blend some of the base game stuff in with the pack stuff that isn't just plants. Because I think for the most part, I've been using mostly the pack items in the categories that have pack items. So like if there was a fridge, I would have used the fridge, but because there's not, I'm just using the base game ones. And the curtains in the new pack are really beautiful with the floral detail and the leaves that are like vining up. I think it's really cute. I like that one a lot. I think I've said it already before in another video that that is going to be one of the pieces that I use a lot. There is also an ivy piece that kind of looks like it can be a curtain too that goes over smaller windows. I don't know what category it's in. It might be in the curtain category or it might be in the like wall sculpture plant section. I don't remember which area it's in, but there is one little okay, wait, no, I see it in the plant section. But okay, so it's a small ivy piece and if you hang it on a window, it kind of looks like a curtain. And see, I'm trying to experiment with closing this off and using an archway. And it's like the lighting looks really good in there. I like how warm the lighting is. It honestly looks better than having just the outdoor lighting, but I didn't want to close off the build at all because I wanted to have that fence and stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to deal with the outdoor lighting, even though the indoor lighting does look better, but I didn't want to mix both of them together. So I was having the outdoor lighting in one part. It was just going to be throughout all of them. But at night, at least, it has that nice warm glow. And I try and I mostly use only candles in this one. I feel like I've only used candles. We'll see though. It's most likely all candles, so I think that was the theme I was going for was to make it feel more off the grid. I was worried that these flowers would make the lot not functional because sometimes when I have flowers on the floor like that, it'll make it hard for your sim to walk through. But I didn't have any issues when I had the sim that I made trying to just use the apothecary table and turn on the fireplace. So I'm assuming that they could walk around the other ones because they don't feel too in the way. So I feel like the kitchen should work. The upstairs, they should be able to get up here. I don't think there's anything in the way. And once again, I'm realizing that I can't have platforms when there are roof pieces poking in. And I knew that I could like change it over and not have the roof going through the entire tower. I just didn't want to do all of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do the platform. I'm just going to try something else. And I used this, it's just like a base game flower box. And I was like, I've literally never used that item before. I really haven't. It looks very modern, and that's why I haven't used it. But like burying it in with other plants and putting the pack window box on top of it and next to a bed, it makes it fit in, I think, in my opinion. And the bedroom is pretty much done. I'm just adding some more stuff to the walls because I didn't want them to be completely plain. And I did put a bunch of ivy climbing up it as decoration to fill up some of the wall space, but even then I was like, I need to add something else to this room so it doesn't feel as empty. And I think it's a nice cozy bedroom up there. And I think soon I'll be doing the bathroom. Yeah. So then the last part is just the bathroom. And it's not that interesting. I'm just using like all of the new bathroom stuff except for the shower. I don't think I put the shower in here. I just have, I mean, I don't know why I didn't put the shower in here. Considering it's so big, I definitely could have put the shower where I put the candle, but I guess I was just so set on, wait, do I use the shower? No, I didn't. I took it out and then I deleted it. I don't know. I guess I was like, oh, they don't need a shower. They have the large bathtub. I do think that I tried to make this smaller. Yeah, see, I try to make it smaller. It looks a bit strange on the outside, and I was like, you know what? I think I can just pretend that it's okay. But then I add a dresser into here because there's also no dresser in the main house. And I was like, I could keep the size of this bathroom and I could put the cute new dresser off to the side of the sink. And it was like the perfect spot for it, even though it is a massive bathroom. And I'm putting my dirt path back in, and I did go back in and I put some more plants towards the front. I didn't record it though. I kind of just went back in. I just placed some more stuff here and there because I thought it looked a little bit empty. And you'll see, like, in the screenshots, what has changed. It's not like huge changes. It's probably very subtle. You could say I'm even adding a little bit more here, just some grass, but I do go back in and I put some trees and some more flowers here. And if you are planning on buying the pack, I do have a creator code. It is CrackedKyber. And if you use it, I do receive a small percentage, and it is not a discount code. And in the screenshots, I did go back in and I put the wood floor that came with the pack on the ceiling because I realized the ceiling was white and it looked a bit strange like that. But that's all the screenshots. You can see the floor plans here. And thank you so much for watching. I will have another video with early access up tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Bye.